Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Dateable, a show all about modern dating where we really dissect people's motives of why they do the things they do and why they say the things that they say when it comes to dating.
And of course, our own motives. We got to take accountability for ourselves too.
Part of personal development.
It's more fun blaming other people though, of course, right?
I think that's the first thing you do. It's fight or flight. So if you feel disenchanted, then you're obviously going to fight and then just end up hating everyone.
And then it's the stages of evolution. That's why we hear the people blaming the app so much.
Yes, the one thing that hasn't changed throughout this entire experience, but it's totally normal. We go through phases. Dating is not supposed to be completely smooth sailing because we would have just all found our people by now, and dating apps would not exist. The dating industry would not exist, and rom-coms would certainly not exist.
Yeah, it makes the juice worth the squeeze, right?
Oh, I just heard that the other day. I was like, it's kind of dirty.
It's kind of dirty if you want to interpret it that way.
Yeah, I'm like, because it's just so, I just visually see it and I almost feel it like it's the juice worth the squeeze. How hard are we squeezing? Speaking of squeezing, okay, let's go here. Because you don't want to, we'll talk about Bumble in a little bit, but let's go here. I had my first mammogram. Because once you turn 40, you start getting mammograms, Julie. This is what happens. I'm not sure if you knew that. I did not know that.
I did not know that. I love how that is the transition to squeeze. Not a sexual squeeze. But...
No, this is a medical squeeze. So I went in for my mammogram. I don't know what you've heard about mammograms. I've always heard about how painful they are and how unenjoyable they are. So I went in thinking that I was going to scream or come out feeling traumatized. But it's fine. It's fine. There were a couple things that were weird. You do it standing up, and they put these nipple covers on you, and you put your boob on a plate, basically. And the machine comes down and squeezes your boob from the top and from the side. And it's a squeeze, Julie. It's not like, it's not a love tap. It's a squeeze.
Could you just say that again?
It's not a love tap. It's a squeeze. And it's pressure. And I don't know if I've ever felt that kind of pressure before. I mean, I like a little rough sex, but not like...
I was like, that isn't your foreplay? The same as a mammogram? I mean, I would expect it not to be like, sensual when you're there. It's like a pap smear. That's not sensual. I love all the men on this right now are like, damn, what's going on here?
Well, with a pap smear, maybe it's just me, but I get wet right away. It's not that I'm turned on. It's just my body response that way because it's protecting me to give me more lubrication. But your boob does not have like a natural way of responding to a squeeze other than you feeling the pain. So I thought that was a very novel experience, and now I have to do it every year.
Well, I guess I just have a lot to look forward to. I don't know what else to say from there, but I just can't believe that we are re-airing an episode for you all this week that we're super excited about. It was on Sandy Wiener's podcast.
Julie, you're super excited every time for these. Are there degrees of super excitement? Is this super, super excited? Or are you
I just don't like to ever favor one guest over another. So now that I've said it about some, I have to keep going. I get that I'm losing my credibility. So
yeah, like the one day she doesn't say she's super excited,
then I hate you. Yeah, exactly.
She's like, I fucking hated that episode.
I know. I do have my all-time favorites, but it is hard for me to separate it in a little. And I just do love all of our guests so much. So it is coming from a genuine place. I'm not just saying it because I feel like I have to say it. I love Sandy Wiener. I loved her on our podcast. We did the communications episode with her. I feel like that episode is so useful. I had my boyfriend listen to the episode. Everyone needs to get on the same page about communication. But anyways, UA and I were on Sandy's podcast, Last First Date, and we did this amazing episode with her all about, what's happened in the last year of dating. As you all know, dating, modern dating got flipped over and reversed again with COVID. And, with all these re-airing, we always re-listen to make sure that it's still relevant. And I feel like this one was even relevant pre now this surge again, but I'm so kind of just frustrated that we're back, potentially heading back into COVID dating. I mean, I actually had to go get a COVID test yesterday. I found out I was exposed to someone that was vaccinated, but we were in a large group indoors, and I'm like, fuck, I can't believe I'm doing this again.
Yep, we're back at it. And imagine, at least you were lucky enough to know that someone was had it and you had that knowledge. Imagine how many other times that we've been exposed to it and
Oh,
we had no
totally.
idea.
Totally. So hopefully we don't go back like 100% to COVID dating, but sadly more maybe relevant in this episode again than maybe it was even 2 weeks ago. So I'm glad we held on a little longer, right?
But even if we go back to COVID dating, we all have our ring lights still, our webcams, our angles, our outfits. We're good. We got the Zoom makeup going. Yeah.
Ready to go. We
Not
have
our first rodeo.
Nope, not our first rodeo. I know. Yeah. But I am actually excited. I'm going to this. Well, in SF, they are starting something that all bars and a lot of dining too are requiring vaccination cards. So it started yesterday officially. So it'll be interesting this weekend to see how many adapt to it. But I'm going tonight to this like jazz club that always required it even before this. So got to bring my vaccination card, get it ready.
That's very classy of a jazz club. I would expect nothing less of a jazz club to require COVID vaccination cards. I think we can do the same in our personal lives. If you're having a gathering, if you're going on a date, I think it's totally fine to require your guests to show their vaccination card.
Yeah,
or a negative test.
It'll be, well, yeah, you can do that too. You can do, I mean, they're saying you could still sit outside if you're not vaccinated, but to come indoors, it's either proof of a negative COVID test or vaccination card. But who's going to be getting COVID tests like every weekend? I mean, I guess people could. You never know.
Maybe you can. There are no lines anymore.
You never know.
Actually, there are lines. I was at Kaiser yesterday, and there was a long-ass line for COVID tests. So we're back.
That's where the lines are. Everyone's getting their COVID tests.
That's where the party is.
Yep. Did you see the South Park special about the vaccine?
Oh, no, you told me about it, but I haven't
seen God. It is the funniest thing ever. I might need to rewatch it this weekend just because it's relevant again. But they basically have this, they're like, this is the hottest club in town. They're not letting people in. And it's a Walgreens, like, pharmacy. And they're like only inviting the elderly in because this was like at the start of COVID vaccinations. And they're all the like elderly are like raging after. They're like, we're hitting the bar. We're having sex. Like we're doing all this stuff. Oh my
gosh.
But yeah, I think I think it was a good wake-up call this weekend because I, like many people, have a false sense of security again. Mm-hmm. And I remember, like, I was indoors. We were at a friend that was DJing. It was a lot of people, close quarters. And I'm reducing my bubble again. I'm going to keep it small.
Gotta be a little bit more picky, I guess. But we learned our lesson.
Yeah.
What can you do?
Honestly, it might just be like the flu. Like, this might be life that we have the ability that we're going to get it, but if you're vaccinated, you just won't get sick. I mean, that's what they're saying.
Yeah.
The vaccination's doing its job, and it's like the flu pandemic was 1918 and we're still getting we're like still getting the flu. It ended in the 20s, which was the roaring 20s. So now we're doing the same thing, but we're still getting the flu vaccine today and people are still getting the flu. Mm-hmm. And there are some people that die from the flu, but for the most part, people don't. So hopefully, I feel like COVID might end up being like that, just always still circulating.
And then just be responsible for yourself because you can't trust other people. That's what I've learned. I can't trust other people. At least I know I'm protected. I'm vaccinated. I'm wearing my mask. I'm doing the best I can.
There you go. Do you want to turn it to Bumble somehow?
Can I?
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of doing the best you can, I don't know if this is doing the best you can, but all the men who've ever used Bumble probably got this email recently. And my boyfriend, who used Bumble, forwarded this email to me. It's a class action lawsuit against Bumble from this guy named Carrie Lowe's. Sorry if I totally butcher your name. Oh my gosh, I cannot speak. But he claims that Bumble discriminated against male users of its dating app platform who identified as interested in women through its practice of permitting only women to message first. The lawsuit alleges that differentiating the products and services offered between male users interested in women and other users violates state anti-discrimination laws and amounts to unlawful and unfair competition.
Wow. I mean, okay. I mean, I feel like I have an opinion on this.
You sure do.
I do have an opinion because I've seen lawsuits like this for like Uber and anything in the ride sharing community or any independent contractor type company. And people are upset because they're independent contractors. But at the same time, you signed up for that. Mm-hmm. Bumble, their whole selling point is that women message first and have control. So I kind of just feel like this guy is looking for a settlement.
Yeah. I think I'm actually surprised that Bumble is just now getting this lawsuit. Because if you think back to Match.com, remember that big lawsuit that it was discriminating against people who like the same sex? Remember that? It's kind of similar to me where I'm just very surprised. And this is where people use the apps that are specific for their sexual preference or for their own interests, right? And Bumble obviously is geared towards this people who are okay with women messaging first. So I'm just surprised that this came now. But I think the best part of this lawsuit is if you participate and they win, your compensation is a whopping 20 free swipes.
Oh my God. I was going to say, don't get too excited that your boyfriend's going to get a settlement, like to go on vacation. But now it's even better that all you get is 20 free swipes. That's ridiculous.
Well, if you are an inactive user, you get the monetary compensation of
what is
20
that?
Free swipes, which is probably like $5.
50 cents? Yeah, I was going to say.
Right? Enough to maybe buy a cup of coffee. Maybe. At McDonald's.
Oh, I've totally gotten checks in the mail from companies for lawsuits, and it was like 50 cents. You don't get anything.
Yes. Or like tax refunds, which are like 7 cents. You're like, cool. You spent more money mailing this check to me than this check is worth.
How much? What do you think the guy that did the lawsuit's going to get? Like 100 swipes?
Lifetime membership.
He's like, I never want to use Bumble again. Maybe they'll like pay for a subscription for Hinge for him or something.
They're like, please go. Or like they move him to a different island where there's just no Bumble. They're like, here, sir, deal with this.
While we're talking about bad dating app, I guess, user experience, even though it's not bad for Bumble, that's what they chose to do. My biggest pet peeve of all times is JDate. Did I ever tell you about this?
No, I didn't know it was a pet peeve.
Yes, so JDates, they don't do this anymore. I don't even know if JDate's around anymore. They bought JSwipe, I know that.
I think it's just JSwipe now.
I think they've like merged, or if it is, it's an app and they probably don't do this because this was before people used their real names. Like everyone had screen names. In JDate, they would assign you a number when you signed up. Do you know how bad that is?
Like a rating?
No, like a number. Like I'd be like 23, 48, 67. Like as a Jewish dating site from like brings up so much Holocaust shit. Why would they do that? Why?
That is so bad.
I want to write to their UX person so bad and just be like, what the fuck were you thinking? Like, how did that not cross anyone's mind?
That is so awful. That is so awful. Oh my gosh. These dating apps, there's a need for them, but sometimes you're like, who built it? And
right.
did they really think about it when they built it? I do think, though, that Bumble was built very mindfully because Whitney's her name, right?
Yep.
Yeah. She came from Tinder after the whole sexual harassment lawsuit. But it is something that I didn't research into until today, where you and I have talked about if you are a woman seeking woman on Bumble, what happens? And it's just either person
Right.
can message. But what if you're a man seeking man? Do you use Bumble? And if you use Bumble, does nothing happen because you can't message each other?
I would be curious. I haven't heard that many gay men using Bumble. I really haven't, but maybe there are out there. So listeners, please correct us if we're wrong on that. It just doesn't seem like it comes up much in conversation. Isn't there one Chappie that's by the same people or something?
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I thought there was. I remember one of our past guests brought that up.
Oh.
But who knows? I mean, it could be possible, and I guess it would be the same behavior that just neither man can message ever. That's why no men use it, no gay men.
Right, right. Well,
They're like, sorry, neither of you can message each other. This is just an infinite loop forever.
yeah. Well, so I did some research into this because I want to see if gay men do use Bumble.
Okay.
And there's actually been a lot of articles from gay men who said, we just want to feel normalized in dating, and that is why we use straight dating apps like Bumble, Hinge, and Match. And
Tinder.
and Tinder, right? Well, Tinder definitely it goes all different ways. So it caters to every sexual preference. And some gay men have said they're so sick of the same people they match with on Grindr
Oh, yeah, I could see that.
because Grindr attracts a specific group. So the ones that I've read about is if you're a man seeking man on Bumble, and then it's the same thing as if a woman matched with a woman.
Okay.
Either one can
Fair enough.
message. Yeah.
I mean, I would assume they would do that opposed to not let either person message.
Right. Right.
That would be bad dating app design.
Yeah,
Really
it would just
bad
be
dating
like
app
completely
design.
stalemate.
That might be worse than the numbers.
Yeah, right.
Might be. Well, you know what I read actually is Bumble. Speaking of Bumble, they're actually experimenting with a new concept called Bumble Brew.
What is that?
It's an IRL dating cafe, and it popped up in New York at like a WeWork type place. So it's an 80-seat restaurant and cocktail bar courtesy of the Bumble app.
Huh.
Isn't that interesting? It's in Nolita, New York City. Do you know where that is? I don't even know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting because, the times that we've been to South by Southwest,
Yep.
they had the Bumble Hive, and I felt like they were piloting something there.
Yep.
Huh. That's a
Yeah.
great idea, though.
I think it's a great idea. So, yeah, I guess what happens if a guy approaches a girl? So they just shut down. They're like, sorry, I'm going to approach you. Get away from me. There's like partitions up, and it's only the women that can remove them.
Women just have like a fan that they carry around with them with like a yes or
spray
no.
bottle. They're just
spray
like,
bottle. Windex.
I didn't give you permission to talk. It's like a dominatrix thing.
You're like,
But the same article I found this it was this kind of like weird tech stuff that's happening right now, and I found this new site that's created called Postdates, the Postmates for your breakup stuff. They'll basically go retrieve your items for you.
that is
I was like, isn't that
genius.
genius? But they did caveat on one of them. They're like, we can pick up your clothes, but we can't get your Peloton.
That is genius.
I'm honestly shocked, though, for like a copyright reason, how they're able to get away with it with Postdates, because the logo looks so similar to Postmates.
I'm going to look this up. Post-date.
And it's like their whole selling point is the Postmates for your breakup. Unless it's made by Postmates, who knows?
Oh, that looks just like Postmates.
Exactly. Isn't that hilarious? But it's such a great idea because if you break up with someone, the last thing you want to do is go get your shit back.
Yeah, I've in my last breakup, I just kept finding his stuff for months, and I would just ship it to him. But I guess I would have liked it better if I just had a basket and I just collected everything for a few
Right.
months, and then someone just come and pick it up. Mm-hmm. It was safe on shipping costs.
Genius. Wow.
Interesting. Okay. So yeah, lots of business ideas that are coming out of. I think during the pandemic, everyone was brewing. What
Yep.
is a good dating service or product I could make?
Exactly. So you know what's really funny is my boyfriend now is re-listening to a lot of our episodes.
Oh
He
boy.
wanted to listen to a bunch of them. So I made like a greatest hits playlist for him. And he was like, it's kind of funny listening because the way you describe what you're looking for a bit, I think I have a lot of those qualities. And I'm like, of course you do.
Oh,
So it's kind of like I've started to re-listen to some of them just to hear because honestly, I just forget what I've said at this point.
for sure.
Some of them have been like over 2 years ago, right?
Right.
And it is kind of funny to re-listen. I'm like, damn, I actually have gotten what I was looking for.
There
It's a
you
nice
go.
feeling. It's a nice feeling.
There you go.
So
You
put it out in the
manifested it.
universe, looking for someone wonderful.
That's it. All we want is someone wonderful. And then if someone asks you what your situation is, just say, I met someone wonderful. Or I'm still on my search for someone wonderful. I like that.
I love it. I love it.
Done.
So quick announcements before we get into the bulk of this episode with Sandy. We announced last week that we are changing the sounding board a bit, and we are going to have a lot more time with UA and I directly to get your burning dating questions answered. We've seen this really great success with anyone that's been in our coffee chat, so we want to make this more accessible to everyone. So for the next month in August, we will be keeping the $18 mid-tier, that's our mid-tier. If you would like to get in now, you will get locked in at that rate. If you join in September, we will be changing those rates. So if this sounds like something that you want to do, if you have FODA, if you're jumping back into dating, if, you're in a relationship and things are going good, but there's something a little off, this might be the right place for you. And in addition to talking to UA and I, you get the great community. There's weekly events that are host-led. Everyone is just so, I think I'm just constantly amazed by the level of introspection and emotional intelligence that this group holds. And people are really there for each other as each other's sounding board. So dateablepodcast.com/sounding board. Definitely check it out and get in at the rates currently.